There will be days when you won't feel like showing up, when your mind whispers, give up, and your body agrees, when progress feels invisible and the weight of doubt is crushing. But it's in those exact moments, the ones where quitting seems easier, that your breakthrough is being born. This isn't just about motivation, this is about discipline. This is about choosing to rise even when everything inside you says sink. Today, I'm not here to talk about comfort. I'm here to talk about fight, about the fire inside you that refuses to go out. Because if you want something bad enough, you have to force yourself to keep going. No matter how tired, no matter how discouraged, no matter how far the finish line seems. Motivation is a powerful force, but it's also fleeting. It arrives in waves, often strong and inspiring, but just as often inconsistent and unpredictable. One moment, it pushes us to take on challenges, pursue goals, and dream big. The next, it fades without warning, leaving us stranded between intention and action. This is the reality for most people who rely solely on motivation to get things done. The high of motivation is intoxicating, but like a sugar rush, it burns out quickly. And when it does, what remains? What carries us forward when motivation disappears? The answer is discipline. Discipline is the internal structure that keeps us going long after the emotional energy of motivation has faded. It's the quiet, unglamorous force that fuels consistency. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand attention. It simply does the work. While motivation might inspire us to start, discipline is what ensures we finish. It's the difference between temporary effort and lasting commitment. The disciplined person shows up whether they feel like it or not. They act according to values and purpose, not fluctuating moods or fleeting impulses. Many people begin their goals with a burst of excitement. Whether it's starting a fitness journey, building a business, writing a book, or learning a new skill, the initial phase is often filled with energy. They tell themselves, this time it will be different. And for a few days or even weeks, it is. But then the novelty wears off, the grind begins, progress slows down, obstacles arise, and suddenly, without warning, that initial excitement is gone. The workouts are skipped. The project sits untouched. The momentum vanishes, and the person wonders what happened. The truth is, nothing happened, except the motivation did what it always does. It faded. This is where most people give up, but this is also where discipline steps in for those who are serious. When you train yourself to operate on discipline, instead of waiting for the right mood, you gain control over your actions. You stop being a prisoner of your emotions. You start developing resilience. You start developing reliability. You stop waiting to feel ready. And instead, you act because it's time. You don't wait for inspiration to write, you sit down and write. You don't wait for energy to train, you put on your shoes and go. You don't wait to feel brave, you take the risk. This is the essence of discipline. The most successful individuals in any field rarely rely on motivation alone. Athletes don't train every day because they're always motivated. They train because they've made a commitment. Entrepreneurs don't build empires based on mood swings. They show up relentlessly, even when the returns are uncertain. Writers, musicians, scientists, engineers, all of them lean on discipline to keep producing, creating, improving. They understand that discipline is a muscle, and like any muscle, it grows stronger with use. Every time you show up when you don't feel like it, you reinforce your ability to do it again. Every time you honor your routine, you invest in a future version of yourself who doesn't make excuses. One of the most important distinctions to make is between how we feel and what we do. Discipline does not require you to feel good. It simply requires you to do what you said you would do. This is why disciplined people are often so productive. They don't wait for the right conditions, they create them. They work through fatigue, through boredom, through uncertainty. And because of that, they build momentum, they generate results, and eventually they reach goals that others abandoned halfway through. Motivation might have started the journey, but discipline took it to the finish line. This isn't to say motivation is useless. On the contrary, it can be a powerful catalyst. It can provide a spark, a moment of clarity, a burst of energy that helps launch an effort. But its role is limited. You can't rely on it to sustain a long-term pursuit. Just like a rocket uses extra fuel to escape the atmosphere, but then coasts through space, your motivation might help get things off the ground, but your discipline will carry you through the long, dark stretches that come after. If you only move when you feel motivated, your progress will be erratic and unreliable. If you move with discipline, your progress becomes steady, even if it's slow. Discipline is also tied closely to habits. Once you build habits based on disciplined behavior, you reduce the need for willpower. You no longer need to convince yourself every day. You simply do the work because that's what you do. The brain adapts, it rewires itself, it becomes more efficient The behavior that once required effort becomes automatic, and this is where transformation happens. When discipline becomes routine, your identity changes. You no longer see yourself as someone trying to improve. You become someone who trains, someone who creates, someone who delivers. You internalize the behaviors, and they become part of who you are. There is also a sense of pride and confidence that grows from being disciplined. When you show up for yourself consistently, your self-respect deepens. You stop breaking promises to yourself. You begin to trust your ability to follow through. And that trust is powerful. It feeds your self-image, it strengthens your resolve, and it gives you the courage to take on even bigger challenges. You become less dependent on external validation because you know you're doing the work. You know you're putting in the reps day after day. You know you've earned every step of progress you've made. That kind of quiet confidence is built, not borrowed. Another key difference between discipline and motivation is that discipline thrives under pressure. Motivation often crumbles when things get hard, but discipline adapts. It doesn't panic when the plan falls apart. It recalibrates. It doesn't get discouraged by slow progress. It focuses on the process. It doesn't stop at the first sign of resistance. It finds another way. This kind of mindset is essential for anyone pursuing ambitious goals because no meaningful achievement is easy. There will be setbacks, there will be plateaus, there will be days when nothing seems to work. And if your response is to wait for motivation to return, you'll stay stuck. But if your response is to keep moving, no matter how small the steps, you will eventually break through. There's a reason military training places such a high emphasis on discipline. It's not because they expect soldiers to be motivated every day. It's because they know that in high-stress, high-stakes situations, motivation can vanish. Discipline is what keeps people focused and effective when everything else is falling apart. The same principle applies to life. Whether you're building a career, recovering from failure, chasing a dream, or simply trying to become better, you need something stronger than emotion. You need structure, you need standards, you need discipline. Right? The world is full of talented people who never realized their potential, not because they lacked ability, but because they lacked consistency. They had the skills, the ideas, the intelligence, but they waited for motivation to strike, and when it didn't, they stalled. On the other hand, there are countless stories of ordinary people who achieved extraordinary things through grit, discipline, and persistence. They didn't wait to be inspired. They created their own momentum through daily effort. They built a system, they trusted the process, and they showed up when others didn't. There's also something deeply freeing about living with discipline. When you commit to a routine, when you prioritize what matters, when you stop negotiating with excuses, your mental clutter clears. You stop wasting energy on indecision. You reduce the internal tug-of-war between what you want and what you're willing to do. You align your actions with your goals. This alignment doesn't just produce better results, it produces peace. It gives you a sense of control over your life. You're no longer at the mercy of your moods. You become proactive instead of reactive. You start owning your time, your energy, your progress. People often say they don't have time or that they lack willpower, but the truth is, time is a reflection of priorities. And willpower is a muscle that grows through use. The more you exercise discipline, the stronger it becomes. And the more consistent you become, the less you rely on willpower at all. You build a rhythm. You develop systems that support your goals. You learn how to work even when conditions aren't ideal. You become the kind of person who doesn't need motivation to act because action is already part of your identity. Even in the face of adversity, discipline remains steady. It doesn't guarantee perfection, but it does guarantee progress. It allows you to stay grounded when the journey gets rough. It reminds you why you started. It pulls you back on track when you drift. It doesn't require brilliance. It requires commitment. It doesn't care about how you feel. It cares about what you do. And over time, that steady, repetitive effort compounds into real change, into real growth, into real achievement. Discipline teaches you to focus on the process rather than the outcome, to show up because it's right, not just because it feels good, to value effort over ease, to find meaning in the challenge, to become the kind of person who doesn't flinch in the face of difficulty. And in doing so, you become more than motivated, you become unstoppable. Progress is a concept that many people associate with ease and comfort. It's often imagined as a smooth and steady path, a gradual upward journey where every step feels rewarding and every challenge is met with excitement. However, the reality of progress is far from this idealistic picture. True progress is not built in the warmth of comfort, but in the cold, challenging moments of discomfort. It's in the late nights of hard work, the moments of self-doubt, the relentless push to continue when your body and mind beg for rest. Progress, in its most meaningful form, is a product of discomfort, struggle, and persistence in the face of adversity. Discomfort, though unpleasant, is an essential component of growth. Every time we step outside of our comfort zones, we are forced to confront our limitations and expand them. This is how we evolve. Our minds and bodies are designed to resist change, to maintain the status quo. This resistance is natural. It's a survival mechanism. But without pushing against this resistance, without stepping into discomfort, we remain stagnant. Growth doesn't happen by doing what feels safe or easy. It happens when we challenge ourselves, when we push through the pain, and when we endure hardships. Discomfort is the crucible in which the raw material of progress is forged. Think about physical fitness as an example. The act of lifting weights, running sprints, or doing any physically demanding activity is uncomfortable. It's tiring. It's painful. But it is in that discomfort where the body begins to grow stronger. Muscles don't build without strain. The process of tearing and rebuilding muscle fibers in the face of heavy resistance is what leads to increased strength and endurance. If you only worked out when you felt comfortable, you would never see any improvement. It's the discomfort of pushing your limits that allows your body to adapt and become stronger. Progress is built in that very discomfort. Similarly, in the realm of personal and professional development, growth often comes through uncomfortable experiences. People often seek success and self-improvement without fully understanding the discomfort that comes with it. When someone sets a goal to achieve a new skill or master a new challenge, it's not always the glamorous or easy moments that create real change. Instead, it's those times when they feel overwhelmed, exhausted, or even discouraged. It's the late nights spent learning, the constant trial and error, the mistakes and the setbacks. These are the moments that push a person to refine their approach, to reassess their methods, and to grow. The discomfort forces them to stretch their abilities, to learn resilience, and to sharpen their focus. It's the moments when you feel like quitting that teach you the most about your own capacity to endure and persevere. Moreover, progress is rarely linear. Success doesn't happen in a straight, uninterrupted line. Instead, it's a series of ups and downs, a dance of progress and setbacks. Often it's in the setbacks where the most significant growth occurs. The discomfort of failure, while painful, offers valuable lessons. It teaches you what doesn't work, what needs improvement, and what must be refined. Failure, as uncomfortable as it may be, is an essential part of the process. Without it, there would be no real progress. The discomfort of failure compels you to adapt, to rethink, and to recalibrate. Those who succeed are not those who avoid failure or discomfort. They are those who embrace it, who understand that each setback is just another stepping stone on the path to success. Even in the realm of mental and emotional growth, discomfort plays a crucial role. Many people strive for mental peace, happiness, and success without fully appreciating the discomfort that often accompanies personal growth. When someone works to overcome limiting beliefs, self-doubt, or anxiety, it's rarely a smooth, comfortable process. It requires confronting painful emotions, facing fears, and challenging long-held thoughts that no longer serve them. This process is uncomfortable. It forces individuals to face parts of themselves they'd rather ignore. However, it's in this emotional discomfort that true transformation occurs. Progress in mental health, self-esteem, and emotional intelligence is built in the trenches of discomfort. It's through discomfort that we develop strength, resilience, and a deeper understanding of ourselves. Discomfort also plays a critical role in the journey toward mastery. Whether you're learning a musical instrument, a new language, or a complex skill, the process is often grueling. There are moments of frustration, confusion, and exhaustion. These moments are uncomfortable, but they are also necessary. Mastery is not achieved by repeating what you already know. It's achieved by confronting the unknown, struggling with the difficult parts, and persisting through the discomfort. The discomfort forces you to stretch your abilities, to think critically, and to improve. In the beginning, progress may seem slow, and the discomfort may seem overwhelming, but it's that discomfort that shapes you into someone capable of mastery. The discomfort of progress isn't just physical or emotional, it's also mental. The brain loves routine, familiarity, and simplicity. It wants to stay in the known, the comfortable, because it perceives uncertainty as a threat. However, if we are to grow, we must continuously challenge our mental models, confront new ideas, and stretch our cognitive limits. Whether it's taking on a challenging project, solving complex problems, or pushing yourself to think in new ways, the discomfort of mental strain is what leads to intellectual growth. When we engage in tasks that push our cognitive boundaries, the brain forms new neural connections, strengthens existing ones, and becomes more efficient. Progress, intellectually speaking, is a result of the discomfort we feel when we face complex problems and strive to solve them. So one of the key reasons that discomfort is so closely tied to progress is because it requires us to step outside of our comfort zone and confront our fears. Fear is often a major barrier to progress. We fear failure, we fear judgment, and we fear the unknown. However, it is only by confronting these fears that we can overcome them. The more we experience discomfort and push through it, the less power our fears hold over us. It's in these moments that we learn the most about ourselves. We learn that we are capable of much more than we thought. We learn that fear is often exaggerated and that the discomfort we feel is not a signal to stop, but a signal that we are on the right track. The discomfort is what pushes us to transcend our limitations and break free from the mental and emotional barriers that hold us. Additionally, the discomfort of progress is often the key to developing grit. Grit is the ability to persevere in the face of challenges, to maintain effort and passion over the long term. It's not talent or intelligence that leads to success, but the ability to endure and keep going when the going gets tough. Grit is forged in the fires of discomfort. Those who persist through discomfort, whether physical, emotional, or mental, are the ones who build the resilience necessary for success. They are the ones who keep going when others quit. They understand that discomfort is not an obstacle to progress, but a necessary part of it. They have learned to embrace discomfort as a sign that they are growing, that they are moving closer to their goals, even if they don't see immediate results. Discomfort is also a reminder that progress requires sacrifice. It's easy to talk about wanting success or growth, but it's another thing to put in the work required to achieve it. Success isn't handed to anyone. It's earned through the willingness to endure discomfort. Whether it's sacrificing your time, energy, or comfort, the price of progress is often steep. But those who are willing to make that sacrifice are the ones who ultimately reap the rewards. They understand that true progress is not instant. It's a slow, deliberate process of pushing through discomfort and refusing to give up. The discomfort is a sign that they are on the right path. It's a sign that they are becoming the person they need to be to achieve their goals. In life, those who make the greatest progress are not necessarily those who are the most naturally talented or lucky. They are the ones who are willing to embrace discomfort, to work through the difficult times, and to keep moving forward even when it feels impossible. They know that progress is built in discomfort, and they are willing to pay the price for it. It's in the struggle, the pain, and the discomfort that they find their strength. It's through pushing themselves beyond their limits that they realize what they are truly capable of. And in doing so, they create the progress they seek.